Hi everyone, Firstborn 5 Meteorologist Melissa Meeder here. It is just about 8 p.m. on our Friday evening, and if you've been out and about, you have probably seen a little bit of rain, maybe a little bit of wintry mix, some ice pellets, as well as snow out there on radar at this point. So we're going to take a look at radar and generally what is going on out there and why. So here's a look right now. This is our precipitation depiction. And as you can see, snow on the northern part of St. Joseph over towards our northeastern areas, Richmond and Chillicothe, Marshall. And then once we get closer to the I-70 corridor, that's where things get a little bit more mixy. We are talking at some points cold rain, at some points a little bit of ice. I drove to go get dinner a couple minutes ago, and there were ice pellets. Ice pellets did accumulate on my windshield, not on the ground. The ground is still likely warm enough for there not to be any, accumulation there. However, on things like your windshield of your car, that looks to be a possibility. As well as even if we get a little bit to accumulate on overpasses, could cause slick conditions because overpasses tend to be much colder than the regular road and regular ground because air flows right underneath them. So a lot going on radar. Along I-70, that's where we're generally seeing that mix, that a little bit of ice, a little bit of sleet, a little bit of, rain. And then south generally is where we're seeing rain. I am going to kind of zoom in to the, 435 loop at this point. As you can see, a little bit of that mix moving off towards Independence, Green Valley. On the western side of the 435 loop, rain at this point. I will say radar hasn't been doing the best job picking up on the type of precipitation that there is out there. So I think that wintry mix still remains plausible, even if this is showing green. Temperatures are a key player in this right now. As you can see, in our northern areas, temperatures are at or below the freezing mark for the most part. Once we get closer to the 435 loop in Kansas City, we're teetering right above the freezing mark. So we generally are supposed to be warming here over the next couple of hours. We peaked at around 34. That was about at 6, or I would say about 7 o'clock this evening. And we are supposed to get a little bit warmer air, such as like our southern counterparts, where they're in the upper 30s, low 40s at this point. That's why they're seeing rain there. We generally should see rising temperatures here through the rest of the night and into tomorrow morning. That should allow us to see the transition to rain. It will be a cold rain, but it would be rain. I think we have the first warns in place through the rest of the night tonight into tomorrow, but I think we still see a little bit of that mix until about 10 o'clock tonight. So temperatures still remain right above the freezing mark. We aren't expecting them to get colder by any means. And I've been checking the 5-minute observations from both our airports. I'm going to take a look at it right now. Still around 34 at the airport at MCI. They're reporting light snow. And as for the downtown airport, temperatures are a little bit warmer. It's 36 at the downtown airport. So we've got a kind of mix of some sorts as reports of unknown precipitation are there. So at this point, we picked up a trace. There has been some that has been falling. I think we will see temperatures slowly warm up, and that will allow us to see rain. We will then see rain increase as we go through midnight and into tomorrow morning. If you have plans for tomorrow morning, likely going to see rain. Some of us will see snow, particularly in our northern areas. We'll get a little bit closer into those details here in just a second. But rain will take over through the overnight into tomorrow. And the system looks to be clearing earlier than the last couple of days, which is good news. So temperature-wise, we are, in the 30s right now. We know it's a little bit warmer downtown. I'm hoping we make it to around 36 by the time we get to about 9. Then that leads us to the low 40s by about midnight tonight, and then we carry through into the low 40s through the overnight and into tomorrow morning. So that would allow for that chance for rain rather than it to be a mix of sorts. So wintry mix turns to rain through the overnight as temperatures warm, and then we have rain likely through the day on Saturday. For some of us, we are seeing way less of a snow chance tomorrow than we were. But some of us, like our northern areas, will go into effect tonight at midnight for a winter weather advisory. Midnight tonight to midnight Saturday night. 1 to 3 inches of snow looks to be a possibility along the northern areas. Maybe some isolated higher amounts are going to be possible. And possibly a light glaze if they continue to see a little bit of mix up there that gets mixed in like we have been seeing. Temperatures are much colder there, and temperatures are below freezing already at this point. So if it does rain, we could see some freezing on contact. Here's a look at snowfall amounts as of the latest runs. We're looking at little to none. Maybe a dusting on grassy areas. I'm saying, as I mentioned, we've had some of that wintry mix, some ice pellets. Maybe see a little bit of a dusting on our grassy areas. But in terms of snow, I don't think that the chances are as high as they were the last several days. So as you can see, as you move towards the north, we start to get a little bit more hazardous travel. Our northern areas, about 1 to 3 inches, maybe some isolated areas of more. As you can see, it gets into that darker pink, darker purple color. Let me go back so I can show you that. Darker pink, darker purple color. As a lot heavier of snow is possible just over the northern border. So it's something we're keeping an eye on for tomorrow. But what we are expecting to see here in the metro is primarily going to be rain. We could see about 1/4 to about 3/4 of an inch of rain from this system. With that being said, temperatures will be dropping through the day tomorrow, which may cause bridges and overpasses and things to develop black ice. So that's something that we will be watching as well. Want to go back to our radar once again. You can see some scattered rain out there. There's snow to the north. There's a little bit of that mixing in as well. And as we walk through, what time is it? 8 o'clock. You can see that we've got a little bit of that mix around the metro. Snow more towards the north. And then by the time we get to about 10 o'clock, we're clearing out of that potential for that mix, and rain starts to take over. As we go through the overnight, snow still possible in our northern areas to Chillicothe and Marshall, but because our temperatures are going to warm through the night, that's why most of us are going to see a cold rain. Tomorrow morning, that's when we see the potential to see some pockets of heavier rain and thunderstorm activity. This is actually a latest run that has just come in. It looks a little bit heavier in terms of rain. I think we see some thunderstorms tomorrow morning as well. Possibly maybe even a little bit of thunder snow up towards our northern areas if it is still snowing. We then see the system move out slowly. By the time we get to about 1, 2 o'clock, we are trending much drier. I think maybe there's going to be some flurries on the backside of this, but it is trending a lot drier through the rest of the evening on Saturday. And then we're clear by the time we get to 7 p.m. Saturday. So I would be shocked if we didn't see some flurries, maybe some light snow on the backside of the system as the cold air pulls in. We have a northwesterly breeze. I would be surprised if we don't see any flurries. So I know that there likely will be some out there, but I generally don't think that the chance is as high as it was the last couple of days. So overall, the main mode of precipitation, once we get past, I would say, 10 o'clock tonight, that is going to be rain. It continues through the night into Saturday for majority of the day. That switch that we had been talking about for the last couple of days of potentially occurring, it's becoming much more unlikely at this point in the late afternoon. You had just saw the latest model run. That shows we're drying out. I said maybe a few flurries in the early evening, but overall it has been trending dry. Saturday itself, we've got the chance for rain through, 1 o'clock. Temperatures will be in the low 40s, so we're still holding on to some of that warmer air before we drastically dip into the 30s. As this system pushes out, the cold northwesterly air starts to filter in, the Arctic air, and then maybe that's when we could see the potential for some flurries. But temperatures are going to drop into the 30s for the afternoon and into the evening. So if you have Saturday evening plans, it is going to be cold, it is going to be blustery, it'll likely be dry. However, there's still maybe some wet roadways out there. We're in the upper 20s by 7 p.m. We will be paired with those blustery conditions for the afternoon and into the evening, gusting to 30, 35 miles an hour. That could result in temperatures tomorrow evening feeling already like the mid-20s by 3, and then continuing into the later evening hours into the teens. That then sets us up for a cold Sunday. So 90% chance, we're talking mainly rain on Saturday. Do I think our high temperature is going to be 34? No, it'll be the lower 40s, but it'll be 34 when we're out and about in the afternoon, around 3, 4, 5 o'clock, as I just showed you. So that's why it says 34 on there, because that's a temperature that when we usually hit our high temperature, this is what it will be. So in the mid-30s. We then get windy and cold on the backside of that. We're 27 for your Sunday, but with winds gusting to 30 miles an hour, we're looking at feels like temperatures in the single digits to the teens for much of the day. So it's going to be cold, and then we get even colder on Monday. It'll be 25 as our high temperature. That is well above our, or I should say even below our normal low temperature for this time of year. 70% chance for snow on Monday. So we're looking at the rain potential mainly for Saturday, but our next system to bring winter precipitation in the form of snow would be Monday. Monday is going to be snow. We are going to be cold. We are going to be cold aloft. To have that column of air be cold enough for the precipitation to stay frozen down to the surface. So snow is going to be likely at this point on Monday. There are still many things that need to be ironed out and fine-tuned for Monday's details. But as of right now, light accumulation looks to be possible around maybe 1 to 3 inches. So this is something we're watching very closely, and we'll continue to do so here over the next, Saturday and even into Sunday. So here's the way it looks. The next 3 days have first warns. We're cold Sunday. We're cold Monday with snow. Then we're drying out. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. We are still well below our average and still very winter-like. 30s to the lower 40s. Many morning temperatures here are going to be in the teens over the next several days. So the winter gear is going to need to be out. We maybe even have to take our shovels out. You may be shoveling on Monday. So we are watching the next 3 days very closely, and even this evening. I am going to go back to show radar quickly and diagnose that as we continue to see maybe a little bit of that wintry mix, some ice out there. I'm going to take another kind of latest look at, I have a radar on my phone that allows me to see the reports. And there's a little bit of rain out there. Some ice pellets out there as well. If you are going out this evening, make sure, as a precautionary, of course, maybe put your 4-wheel drive on just in case, especially if you're going to be going over overpasses and things like that. Be careful on the roadways. We aren't expecting this to really accumulate on the roads. However, bridges, overpasses may see a little bit of that because they tend to be colder than the actual ground surface. Could maybe see some accumulation on grassy areas. Looks like we're seeing some of that precipitation just north. The 435 loop turn to snow. I have been looking to see if I can see anything on our MoDOT cameras, and I haven't been able to see much, but we know there have been some reports. So it actually looks like it's snowing downtown. Let's see if we've got a latest report, latest observation. Because we're not directly downtown. Our station isn't directly downtown, so I won't be able to go outside and tell. To see, kind of what that looks like. Their latest observation has not come in yet. So I actually am going to go to MoDOT and see if we could see any coming down. Or if any of you live there, you could look out the window. Looks like there's snow in Atchison. Sleet in Raytown. Let's take a little look here. Go right downtown. The roadways look wet, however, I'm not seeing any flakes. Flakes are flying yet. Okay. Not seeing anything there yet. Some reports of sleet in Lee Summit as well. So we've got a little bit of that mix occurring just about through much of the metro. And temperatures, too, are going to continue to warm as we go through the next couple of hours. That would lead to rain. So here's a look at the temperatures across the area at this point. We've now bumped our temperature up to around 34, which is good. We're continuing on that warming trend, as we should be. And those that are generally to the south are in the upper 30s to the low 40s, while northern areas are generally below freezing. So I'm going to continue to keep you updated here with what's going on and continue to post on social media. Come on here if I see any changes, things like that. And then we will be on KCTV5 at 10:12 tonight. So join us then for the latest information. That's what I've got for you at this time. Getting a little bit of that wintry mix, some snow and some rain across the area. I hope everybody has a wonderful evening.